Hey guys, what's up? Academy.fm back again. Today is creating digital guitars. Now, guitars can be used a very large amount in dance music. They just have to be used correctly. You got to mix them in correctly. Lead guitars, chord guitars, bass guitars, etc. Now, it can be tough to get a guitarist. If you yourself or a buddy is a guitarist, it can be tough to get it in your computer. There's extensive amount of microphone setup along with having the proper amps, proper sound cards. So it can be a headache to someone that's a little bit new playing guitar and routing everything. So with that being said, that's why the digital world comes into effect. Now, are real guitars better? Most likely, yes. If you get the correct recording, good mic and all that stuff in a professional studio, that's the best route to go. But we don't all have access to that. So today I'm just going to show a few quick ways to use Native Instruments plugin and a couple guitars that I'll use in my sampler to create digital guitars and still have them sounding authentic. So we're just going to use this chord MIDI as our example for today. All right, so let's duplicate that down. That's just a piano. I'm going to mute that out, and we're going to call this Guitar 1, and I'm going to fire up Native Instruments. Now, if you guys don't have this plugin and you guys are a Kontakt user, I suggest you stop what you're doing after this video and go purchase this. It is one of the best plugins that I've used in years. If I can't record in stuff in my microphone or whatever, I'm on the road, I can use this plugin to create guitars and strumming effects and a lot of different things. They have two versions of this. They have their second one out. I'm stuck on the first one because I love it so much. What we're looking at here is different strumming sections. If we wanted him strum at a muted, you can do that. If you want it to be open face, it won't be muted. And then you can select if you want it wide or narrow. And then basically if you want to hear the high notes or the low notes, you can adjust that on your modulation wheel on your MIDI controller. So let's bring this up. And let's just select, let's go to C. You got to remember that this was sampled in, so they played each note for it to go together as a chord. So some keys were not recorded in, such as these high C's up here. You hear how there's nothing when I'm scanning over? Some of the high ones might not. All right, let's loop that out. So that's our right away. Now we can adjust things with that guitar. It's pretty straightforward. I process it a little bit. I do a couple things as far as changing the high and low if we want to just hear the highs. Now this is something I'll automate between my verses and my chorus to change how the guitarist would be playing. Now you guys can also edit patterns. If you double click this, this is how that guitar is playing. If we want to change things up, you can even edit the signature, how it's played as in time. You can get a different one. You can pull up a different chord or preset rather. You'd hit the check mark. And then if you go to muted, it's going to be closed. That can come in handy because like a verse, if you want it kind of stripped back a little bit, you can do more of a muted and then kind of open it back up on the chorus. Now there's a lot of different stuff in here, guys. Again, if you're new to this plugin, there's endless things. If you want to get more funky where there's a little bit more of a harder groove strum. So you guys have noticed if I back up, my MIDI is exactly the same. I'm not changing my chords from my piano. This is going to go hand in hand. Even though that's a little fast, if we did something a little bit more stripped, kind of low key. So it's very cool to get into a digital guitar like that. Again, if you can't get access to something else, this is amazing. I use it in every track. If you want to double it and give it more width, so that's going to be cool stuff to automate and alter from verse to pre-chorus to chorus. You want to almost widen up your guitars on chorus sections and stuff like that. Now you can slightly change the sound to here where it would be playing high to low if you want one panned left and right. If you guys want to add reverb, which I don't recommend you doing here, use that with your third-party stuff, Valhalla or Art Acoustic. There's a bunch of good reverbs that will give kind of life to this type of stuff. But outside of like acoustic guitars, you can do now, if you find a good one, we now can double this down into my sampler. And let's just take the low notes. And let's pair that with, let's say, an 8th note strumming bass guitar. And we'll just mute this one out. We'll call this and let me mute that. And we'll just start to create like an 8th note. We want this to feel like the bass guitar is strumming underneath it. It's going to give more life to that acoustic part. Let's get rid of the piano. And now if I go over to my sampler, now you guys could use, before I actually go there, you could use a Kontakt one too that I've been using for years, is the Scarby bass. If we bring this in, this is the same idea I'm going to use in my sampler. Let's make sure all these are the same. And let's bring them down. And then you'll have different models right here. And just listen to how that's going to pair with your acoustic. It takes time for it to sound really authentic, as in other words, someone that actually played it and recorded it in. You can do a little processing stuff to it. You know, there's a lot of things you can do. You can run it through amps. You know, Logic has a bunch of amps here you can run through. Kontakt also has its guitar rig amp for you guys to run through right here. So you can kind of get really creative with it. But if I were to use my EXS inside Logic, you can kind of have the similar idea here. If we go down to bass lines here, electric bass, let's just grab fingerstyle. I can now make this come to life a little bit more with pitch bending and stuff like that to give it more of a, you know, live feeling, as if someone was playing it. So if I go from note to note here, let's just flatten this out. And we can kind of create a little glide here. And then when it's going back down in notes, let's bring it down a little bit. Bring it back up since it's going from C up to F. And we can probably bring this down. And it goes a little low on these, so let's bring these up an octave. So since that's going down, we just change the pitch bend. This is stuff you guys should really mess with. Also mess with velocity ideas, because a guitarist, realistically, when they're playing in through a microphone, every strum is not going to be perfectly at the same velocity that I have. I have these all set at a nice 118 velocity, pretty much as loud as it goes. Sometimes you can kind of offset it a little bit with a couple sections being maybe 70 or 80 velocity, then a couple other sections as it's getting louder, a little harder velocity. You know, you can give that more authentic, played out feeling as if someone is playing it through the microphone. So make sure, if you guys are new to this, go through a couple of these categories. They're all based off of different style songs, different genre. You know, you have your country, you have really fast playing stuff, rock, straight eighths, etc. And again, the signature you can change around. So make sure you guys are experimenting with this, because it can give nice swing and like a nice accent to your entire track. So try this out. If you guys are new to this, take a moment to go purchase it. Trust me, it's worth every penny. I believe it's only $99, or this one might be $49 right now. But go take a look at it. Let us know if you have any questions that should help you out, and we'll see you next time.